Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Friday, April 15, 2022. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. In California, a 54-year-old Black grandmother shot at more than 30 times by a Stockton police officer, killing her. The family says that even though she was suspected of backing her car into a cop's car, she was unarmed and never threatened the officer. Family says the force officer used was excessive. I'll be talking with the family attorney about this shooting. And again, it is truly shocking. Tonight, we'll look at the successes of the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division under Kristen Clarke's leadership. Doesn't get a lot of attention from the White House, but they have had one heck of a week. Again, defending civil rights and putting people in jail for violating those rights. The Biden-Harris administration releases its plans to advance equity and racial justice across the federal government. We'll take a look at which plans will benefit African Americans. Louisville cop who shot and killed Breonna Taylor in 2020 is trying to get his job back again. A Black Texas math teacher has figured out a way to help students grasp mathematical concepts. We'll talk with him in our Education Matters segment. Also, today is Jackie Robinson Day all across the Major League Baseball. I'm repping 42 of the Dodgers. We'll talk with the leader of the Jackie Robinson Foundation about their work and also get an update when the Jackie Robinson Museum will be opening in New York City. And the white Republican in Loudoun County, Virginia, who went after the Deltas, about an hour ago, he issued an apology. I warned, we tried to tell you. Scott, I warned your ass, leave them Deltas alone. But you hard-headed. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, we often talk about the countless murders of black men by police in this country. Today, we will say her name, that is Tracy Gaeta. In February, the 54-year-old California grandmother was shot and killed by a Stockton police officer after her car bumped into his. As she was shot, he fired 30 shots into her vehicle. What in the world happened to cause that level of force to be used against her? Joining us now is the family attorney, Angelina Austin. Angelina, glad to have you here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So, okay, this happened in February. So walk us through what happened to cause this cop to fire 30 shots into her vehicle.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Roland. And first of all, I'd like to say that that is the question. The family still does not know. 2 months later, we do not have these answers. It's something that my firm has been working very diligently to ascertain. We've sent numerous requests to the police department, and in response, we received this public relations piece that many of you may have seen.
So what happened on that day? What time of day was it? Was there an altercation? Where was she going? So what happened?
What we do know is that on February 22nd of this year, at about 2 p.m., Tracy Gaeta was driving through Stockton, California. She was involved in a fender bender or some kind of motor vehicle accident with a police officer.
Okay.
From that
one second. So was the police officer driving a motorcycle? Were they driving a car? What was the cop driving?
He was in a police cruiser.
Okay, a police cruiser. So it's a fender bender. Did she hit him from behind? Was she like, so what type of, what did she hit him hard? I mean, what was it? So what kind of accident was it?
I would say it's a very minor accident. She was going very slow. It's very hard to tell from the footage that we received, but she starts from a completely stopped position before she proceeds. And I would say maybe taps the police vehicle. The police or street camera footage shows that perhaps she was moving in a forward direction and may have been trying to squeeze between two cars. We're not really sure, but the vehicle was moving at a very slow pace, when the contact was made with the police cruiser.
All right, so folks, I want y'all to back the video up, please. I want you to go back to the beginning, and Angelina, if you can just, because is this the video that police released? Video we're showing here? Okay, all right, so guys, go ahead, folks, play the video right now. So what are we seeing here? So this is that her car?
Yes, that is Ms. Gaeta's vehicle. It is registered in her name. As you can see, she stopped for a moment, and now she's pulling up again, and right there is the tap that occurs.
Okay, so
this is the beginning of the incident.
So his car, the cop's car's on the left. There's another car she's in between two cars.
Correct.
Okay, so y'all still playing the video, right? Guys, keep rolling the video, please. So, all right, so they're at a red light, right? So freeze the video. So he said, someone just 901 me, something like that. And then, so she backs up. Roll the video, guys. Roll the video. So she backs up and she goes around. Okay, then she goes right. The police cruiser, goes in front of this white car and then goes. So then she makes a U-turn. Is that what happens here?
Absolutely. She makes a U-turn and comes back down the street. And you can see a second police cruiser joining at this point. And so in a moment, you'll be able to see Ms. Gaeta's vehicle, and she's driving, the police are pursuing. So she's driving down the road here.
So this is another, so she's driving down the vehicle. Okay.
Correct. And so she's about a minute has passed now since the first clip where she tapped the officer's vehicle. We're now at 2:09 p.m. The initial contact was 2:08. So at 2:09 p.m., you can see that there's a speed limit sign posted there saying that the speed limit is 50 miles an hour. She's going through the red light, and another officer radios in that he's spotted her vehicle.
All right, so we have that. Have they released any dash cam footage, body cam footage of the shooting?
Yes, they have. This video continues on, and it does show the point of view from the officer's body camera.
Okay, so let's do this here. So, okay, folks, roll that. Come on, roll the video. Thank you. So this is the body cam footage of the police officer right here. So he gets out. Okay, so
if I could pause you quickly, Roland.
Go ahead.
So he gets out of the vehicle immediately with his gun drawn. Immediately.
Right, all right. I saw that. Now, roll back to the beginning of the video because I'm trying to understand. So I guess her car is stopped. Go back, roll the video back, folks. Now, press play. So, okay, he throws his car in park. He gets out. She backs up. Now, does she ram his car? Okay, he says, now he's ramming me. And then he just begins to unload into the car.
Correct. So, you know, the term ramming is an officer's term.
No, one second. So first 19 shots fired. Then he pulls the clip out and fires more shots into the car. Okay, so folks, do this here. I want y'all to back the video up. I want y'all to back the video up, please. I want you to back the video up. Again, rewind the video, please. Thank you. Bring it back, because I want to go back to the beginning of the video here. And so, press play. So he throws it in park. She's in front. She backs into him. That's when he comes out firing. Audio up, please.
Put your hands up! Hands up!
So I take it when her car then became sideways and he fired those shots into the car, it was one of those shots that actually was a fatal shot.
That is correct. The family has had a private autopsy performed on Tracy Gaeta, and that is what our autopsy results reveal.
How many times was she hit?
I can't relay that information at this time, but multiple times.
Again, I go back to the beginning of the video. She tries to slide between two cars as she backs up. Guys, not this beginning, actually, yeah. And then she backs up and she goes around. Just look at the video. She's in a hurry or she's in distress or something along those lines. Has the family said anything? Was there an emergency? Was there a health issue? Because again, when you look at that, clearly she's in a rush. And even because one of the cops said she blew through a red light. Can you shed any light on what was going on?
Well, initially, we don't know what was happening with Miss Gaeta. She's not from Stockton. She's actually from Sacramento, which is about 50 miles away. Not too far, but far enough for it to be possibly outside of her usual zone of travel for, errands, let's say. So we're not sure why she was in Stockton. She doesn't have family there. She didn't have work in the area. In terms of what the officer said about her blowing through the stoplight, that was after this initial interaction, where, of course, at this point, she was most likely very afraid and was fleeing.
Yeah, that is, certainly certainly sad to see here. So you said an autopsy has been done. So what is the next steps for you and the family?
Right now, we're still working to get information from Stockton PD for the family. As anyone who has lost a loved one knows, when it happens suddenly, it's so traumatic. You have so many questions, and it's compounded in this case because Miss Gaeta was murdered. She was killed at the age of 54 years old, no criminal record, no past history of violence. For the family, Alex Gaeta, her son, has said that this feels like something out of a movie, that he just can't believe it's going on. And all that they're getting from Stockton PD is this very tailored PR piece, which is clearly trying to push the police officer's narrative.
Indeed. Well, we appreciate you coming on to give us this perspective, and we'll certainly see what happens next with the direction of this story. Thank you so very much for being with us. Folks, I want to go to our next story. This is a man that was certainly, so sad there. And that is this here. The Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, they've been extremely active in pursuing and convicting offendees who have committed hate crimes all across the country. Under the leadership of Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clarke. Folks, here's some of the recent victories. When I say recent, I'm talking about just this week. In Oklahoma, a federal jury convicted a former K County, Oklahoma supervisory corrections officer for violating the civil rights of 3 pretrial detainees held at the K County Detention Center. In Alabama, a former Alabama Department of Corrections sergeant was sentenced to 30 months of imprisonment in federal court for his act, pleading guilty to assaulting 2 inmates at the ADOC correctional facility. In Tennessee, a former supervisory corrections officer pleaded guilty to 2 civil rights offenses, of course charged with 1 count of deprivation of rights under the color of law for using unlawful force on an inmate, 1 count of being deliberately indifferent to the inmate's medical needs. In Washington State, a man pleaded guilty to hate crimes and false statement charges. He pleaded guilty to one crime of committing a hate crime for his participation in the assault of a black man based on his race. In Kentucky, a former captain with the Madison County Detention Center pleaded guilty to using unreasonable force against a detainee. In Illinois, 2 men were sentenced to 190 months and 170 months in prison, respectively, for their roles in the 2017 bombing of an Islamic center in Bloomington, Minnesota. In South Carolina, the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of South Carolina filed a complaint and settlement agreement with the South Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice to resolve its Broad River Road Complex investigation in Columbia, South Carolina. In Massachusetts, the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division and the U.S. Office of the District of Massachusetts filed a complaint and a proposed consent decree with the city of Springfield, Massachusetts, to resolve its investigation of the Springfield Police Department's Narcotics Bureau. Now, one of the things that's interesting in one of those cases, one of the jail's officials actually put black inmates in the same cell with white supremacists, leading to a vicious beating of the black inmate. You look at a number of those cases, they dealt with prisons and corrections departments. I'm gonna bring in my panel right now to talk about this because I dare say the White House has not done an effective job or a good enough job communicating what the Civil Rights Division is doing. And this shows you the difference, as I always say, when it comes to voting, who's in charge, who is able to be leading the Department of Justice. It's a whole different deal when you have a Democrat involved versus a Republican. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney, joins us right now. Also, Michael Imhotep, host of African History Network, Killa Bethea, communication strategist. Glad to have all three of you here. Matt, I want to start with you. Again, as I walked through, nearly all of those was just in the past week. I don't understand why the White House isn't touting this. This is what happens when you have a strong civil rights division in the Department of Justice. What Kristen Clarke and what they are doing in the DOJ, they are letting it be known. You in one of these states, you act a fool, DOJ is going to deal with you. U.S. attorneys are going to deal with you.
Absolutely, and they need to do a better job of letting the people know what they're doing. The reason this is so important is these are criminal prosecutions of the same kinds of cases that I bring as a civil lawyer, which we know are very difficult for plaintiffs to prevail, but the law is almost exactly the same. And getting a conviction against a correctional officer or a police officer or concluding a patterns and practice investigation on an entire department is really an amazing thing, considering, one, the national zeitgeist is this conversation about civil rights, number one, but number two, how hard it is for a plaintiff to prevail in these cases if they're brought as a civil matter. So the Department of Justice is doing extraordinary work. And what's really interesting as well is a lot of those cases span the gamut of constitutional issues. They're not just excessive force issues. There are also religious issues, obviously. There are issues as it relates to juvenile justice and the safety of juvenile inmates. So they really have done great work across the board and across the United States in a difficult area to practice, but in one that they are clearly excelling. So I hope going forward, the White House makes it clear to the people just how difficult those cases are and just how good a job Ms. Clarke and her team are doing.
Kelly, for instance, in the case in Oklahoma, that was one that really stood out because what you had there is, I mean, you had this, not only did this corrections officer put black inmates in a cell with white supremacists, also ordered the abuse of other inmates. That corrections officer is now about to be behind bars himself.
I mean, talk about poetic justice, right? Who knows what's going to happen to him, and not that I care. But just to piggyback off of what Matt was saying, I am actually surprised that this is an undercover story or underground story, something that we would not have known about if it were not for your show. These are the kind of things that, frankly, Biden built his platform on in order to get black votes. And these are huge wins when it comes to the perception of protecting the black community under your administration. And the only thing we're hearing out of Biden's mouth right now is about Ukraine.
Wait, hold on. Ukraine or fund the police?
Either something that does not garner black voters, anything that does not garner black voters, right? So it's one of those things where I don't know if it's the communications team or a decision from Biden himself regarding what exactly makes the news cycle and make sure that, you know, he gets his approval numbers up and making sure that the American people has his back for a re-election, because allegedly that's what he's vying for right now. And we're in an election year right now for, you know, House and Senate and other local seats. I mean, this is not a good look for you to have all these wins under your belt and no one's going to notice. This is not something that people are just going to find out through osmosis or through Twitter or anything like that. President Biden, you have to tell us, because otherwise we are so inundated and oversaturated with information, specifically information not pertaining to us, the Black community, to the point where we feel neglected by your administration because you're not even talking about the stuff that you've done for us. So it's a disservice to you as the administration. It's a disservice to us as the body that got you into the White House in the first place. So something needs to shake up there to make sure that we know exactly what's going on that actually benefits us.
It's crazy, Michael. Again, as I was going through all of these cases, and again, these are convictions. I mean, these are convictions. The consent decree in Massachusetts. I mean, that's a major deal as well. And I'm just sitting here going, if you're Jen Psaki, you're at that podium. I know Department of Justice, they have their own communications staff. Frankly, and let's just be real honest, okay? Their news conferences don't get covered the same way. They don't. Doesn't get the same level of attention. But if I'm the White House, this is what the hell I'm touting. I mean, what I just did was what they can easily do. This. I mean, I'm sitting here going through. I'm literally sitting here, again, looking at what they did, looking at the wins, and this is how you make the case, folks. You voted for Biden, you voted for Harris. This is the difference between a Biden-Harris Department of Justice and a Donald Trump, Mike Pence Department of Justice. And then what you say is, we are not going to allow people who are responsible for overseeing inmates to abuse them, to beat them, to neglect them. That is simply wrong. It's sitting right here. What the hell are they doing?
They have a poor communications team, Roland. And I was reading a lot of these, but a lot of things like this I deal with on the African History Network show, okay? And April 1st, Vice President Kamala Harris was in Greenville, Mississippi, to talk about investments in underserved populations and talk about community lenders and things like this. That got very little coverage in mainstream media. When I talked about it on my show a couple of days ago, my viewers and listeners would say they didn't know this took place, okay? And now the other thing that this shows, Roland, is the importance of responsible Black media. I'm saying responsible Black media for a reason, because there's a lot of I almost cussed. There's a lot of BS out there that's not responsible Black media to inform our people about these things that are going on. But the Biden-Harris administration, their communications team, they really have to understand communicating these wins like this. The consent decree is important because under the Trump administration, 4 years and 2 attorney generals, there was only one consent decree, whereas under 2 terms of President Obama and his attorney generals, there's about 24, 25 investigations into police departments, about 14, 15 consent decrees. Here you have Attorney General Merrick Garland, who started the investigations into the police departments again, patterns and practices investigations, and they've entered into a consent decree right here with Springfield, Massachusetts. So this is important. But this is one of the reasons why Black-owned media and responsible Black media is so important as well. But the other thing, lastly, Roland, when you are so busy doing the work, a lot of times, in good work, a lot of times you think people are paying attention, but they have to realize you're dealing with also a dumbed-down electorate as well. Yep. So you got to educate them on what's going on.
Well, again, here's the deal, okay? I see some of the press releases that come from the Department of Justice, and so you see them. But again, what people have to understand, in this city, Washington, D.C., if it ain't coming from the White House podium, frankly, they're not paying any attention to it. And so what the White House should be doing, what their strategy should be incorporating what Kristen Clarke, what DOJ, what Vanita Gupta, what Merrick Garland, what DOJ is doing. And now what you're doing is you're crafting a narrative.
Right.
You're building a narrative. You literally do just what I did. You literally stand at that podium and you say, the American people need to understand we are hard at work protecting them. Yes, we are. You can be Biden and you want to sit here and talk about funding cops, fine. But what you also have got to say, President Joe Biden, is that your DOJ is also holding cops accountable who do wrong. So Biden needs to be talking about this consent decree in Massachusetts. Biden needs to be talking about how this corrections officer is going to prison and this one. And he should be standing at the podium himself saying to every state in the country, if you have corrections departments that are abusing prisoners and you have wrongdoing going on, my Department of Justice is going to investigate. We are going to indict. We are going to prosecute, and we are going to put you in jail. Every American, whether they're sitting in jail or not, deserves their civil rights. That's how you make an emphatic statement, and you got the wins to back it up, Matt. That's the other deal. This is not you just making a statement and you don't actually have it. You have the wins to back it up. They have to create the narrative so the public is like, wow, those things are happening? I had no idea.
Yep, and this is the national conversation right now. So I don't understand how they aren't leveraging it. This is what, I mean, every show that we come on, every Friday, we talk about another person who was shot and killed by a police officer. So I think it's derelict not to address it, particularly when you're winning cases, when you have a team of lawyers that are going in, climbing up, Mount Everest in some of these cases and convicting police officers, which is not always an easy thing to do. They need to be really displaying that, especially because the whole country is talking about such issues right now.
Absolutely, and it's understanding the moment. It's recentering the conversation. The George Floyd Justice Act did not get passed. Got Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott sitting here doing it. I hit the White House last week. They said they're at work, hard working, trying on these consent decrees. On these executive orders.
Executive orders, right?
Still waiting. Okay, I got it. Let me know when y'all get around to them. But again, when you're out, because remember, this is the other key, Kelly. Republicans gave Kristen Clarke a lot of hell during her confirmation hearings. And this is why. This is why Republicans did not want a strong Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. When you have Republican presidents, the weakest department in DOJ is the Civil Rights Division. They don't care. And literally, Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr said, we got video of Bill Sessions saying we're going to pull back on consent decrees because, it's hurting the feelings of it's hurting the morale of so many cops.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But what makes even less sense is, just to echo the sentiments of everybody on the panel, but to add another layer to this, Biden spent his entire campaign basically touting the notion that he is going to craft a cabinet that looks like this country, that includes Black women, white women, Hispanics, Asians, what have you. And you finally have it, and you're not leveraging it to your benefit to make sure that we know what you're doing. Like you said, this is one of the best records for the DOJ Civil Rights Division, and we know nothing about it. And not to
and Kelly, I'm gonna let you finish. I didn't recite the last 15 months. Mm-hmm. I recited the last 2 weeks.
Exactly. And that's my point. And not to read too much into it, but it feels like one of those situations in which you expect Black women to excel, and therefore you're not going to brag about it, so to speak. You're not going to promote said excellence. You are going to simply expect it and to do a more, expect her to do above and beyond even the excellence that she is doing. And I feel like that is a reflection on how Black women in the workplace have been treated by white men. You expect us to excel. You expect us to basically receive half the resources and then produce 3 times the product. And that's exactly what Clarke has been doing for the past 15 months, let alone the last 2 weeks, like you said. I can't think of a time where someone did this much in 2 weeks in the DOJ.
Yeah,
I mean, can you?
And Michael, it's not just Kristen Clarke. It's a bunch of lawyers. Don't nobody know their names. They are career lawyers. It's not just DOJ lawyers. It's U.S. attorneys around the country. That Massachusetts consent decree, that U.S. attorney there, that's the black woman who was the DA in Boston.
Right.
See again, Biden White House, your approval ratings are down. You need black people. I'm just saying.
But he's doing it to all the black women in his cabinet. Like, we don't hear anything about HUD. I'm sure they're doing great.
Well, first of all, this week, I mean, right, Secretary Marsha Fudge, she hired an equity czar, touting that. I'm just, the thing here is, it's called narrative. It's called establishing and building a narrative. And it's saying, you voted for us to do this. We are doing what we said we were going to do. And I'm just simply saying they should be touting. And here's what happened, Michaels. And we've streamed the videos, okay? Kristen Clarke, Vanita Gupta, Merrick Garland, they go down to Capitol Hill. Ain't nobody watching those hearings. They're not watching those hearings. I mean, we've streamed them. Like, look, yesterday, okay? I'm gonna check right now. The White House had a session on equity. All right, and we're gonna talk about that in a second, but I'm just gonna check right now. Let me just see, okay, video, let's see here. Okay, all right, let's see here. All right, I'm looking for okay, perfect example. The White House had White House convening on equity. Y'all, I just wanna put this in perspective, y'all. The White House has 1.95 million subscribers.
Whitehouse.gov on White House on.
No. White House YouTube channel.
Right, exactly.
Right. White House 1.95 million. They had 2,700 views for 2,700 for their equity session. 2,700 views. I'm looking here, and I know we did it as well. I'm looking here. Keenan, let me know, because I know I said to stream it. I know we did it. So I'm looking on here. I just want to be curious to see. Keenan, send me in group me, send me a text how many views we had. But the point I'm making here is they're not watching hearings. You have to utilize the bully pulpit. You have to do that when you're there speaking on about these very issues. I just don't understand why they are not creating the narrative. That makes no sense to me. You got wins.
Roland. So I'm on the White House's YouTube channel every day, and some of the segments, especially when Vice President Kamala Harris is speaking and things like this, I'll show that on my show, because that information is not getting to our people. Okay, she just did. Reese Colbert just wrote an article for EUR Web dealing with Vice President Kamala Harris's Black Maternal Health summit or conference that she just had. Okay, I didn't see that on MSNBC. Okay, I've seen very little about that, except for I follow Black Women Views on Instagram, and I saw Reese's post about her article. When you look at what the White House just released yesterday on their actions on racial equity, I did not see that on MSNBC yesterday. Okay,
hell no.
So there's a huge problem with they're doing a lot of good work. It's not being messaged so that people know it, especially African Americans know it. So they need to bring more people on Roland Martin Unfiltered. They need to hire some social media experts, especially African American social media experts, to get this information to our people. If you got to do TikTok videos, do TikTok videos. I follow Vice President Kamala Harris on Instagram, VP on Instagram. she'll put short videos and disseminate some of this information there, but this is not getting out like it should.
Well, in fact, I literally just, literally just got an email from Olivia Roberts with the Department of Justice. Every week they send out, I get an email, which is a recap. Matt, here's one that, again, I'm just saying you might want to tell, especially black people, on Wednesday, go to my iPad. On Wednesday, the Justice Department announced that it has reached an agreement to settle claims in 4 civil cases arising from the June 1st, 2020 law enforcement response to racial justice demonstrations in Lafayette Square in Washington, D.C. As part of the settlement, the United States Park Police and the United States Secret Service agreed to update and clarify their policies governing demonstrations and to implement the policy changes within 30 days of today's settlement. Within the 30 days, the Secret Service will amend its policies to provide that the fact that some demonstrators have engaged in unlawful conduct does not ordinarily provide blanket grounds for use of force, crowd dispersal, or declaration of unlawfully assembly. Okay, that's a big deal. We saw in 2020 when Donald Trump, that thug in chief, ordered federal law enforcement to clear people out of the way so he can go stand in front of the church with the Bible upside down. This was a major deal. Okay, now, somebody might say, well, you should be playing politics. Well, if I'm the Biden White House, I'm taking a hit against Trump and his thugs and saying, this is what we put in place. I'm just saying. And again, I appreciate the email. Thank you very much, Olivia, for sending me the email. But from a narrative standpoint, this is the thing that and all of a sudden, folks go, wow, I didn't realize that. Biden is checking law enforcement saying, y'all can't just do whatever you want to do. And what you're also doing, you're checking Trump in the process. But if nobody ever knows when a tree falls in the forest, who the hell heard it?
But isn't that part of the hustle, Roland? Is that they're also trying to dial back that defund narrative, that they're concerned about, I guess, losing moderates and other people in this upcoming election. So maybe they're not promoting it because they want to try to toe the line between actually having civil rights wins, but not angering law enforcement and people who are law enforcement aligned?
Well, that's dumb. That's dumb. Because here's the deal. If you only fund the police, you're pissing off the folks who are in the streets. But if you champion your resources, but you also say we're holding them accountable, what you're really saying to everybody is, well, like my philosophy, if you do good, I'll talk about you. If you do bad, I'll talk about you. At the end of the day, I'll talk about you. You're actually appealing to both groups there. And so it's just, again, it's understanding how to talk to people, how to communicate to people. And I'm just simply saying, hey, you're in the White House, okay? Ron Klain, Chief of Staff?
Yeah.
Susan Rice? Cedric, Jen Psaki, Karine, I can go down the line. Right. Y'all should be, this ain't hard. It took me 60 seconds to go, hey, this is last night, tomorrow's show. We're gonna do a whole segment on the wins of the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division this week. Jen Psaki could do the exact same thing from the podium. And you know what you then do? To further heighten it, you invite Kristen Clarke down to the White House and have her speak from the podium for 5 to 8 minutes and take a few questions. What you do is you center the conversation, and then when you center the conversation, it's now gonna get picked up by other mainstream media about how, and it's going to show the contrast, because see, again, there are stories that come out of that go beyond just your news conference. So the whole point is you're showing the contrast between a Biden-Harris DOJ and a Trump-Pence DOJ. Right. And then what you're saying is to the voters, this is why you voted for us. Versus these folks. You don't simply allow it in press releases. No, You amplify it. You elevate it. And if I looked, I guarantee you, I probably haven't seen any tweets, any post, any of this stuff on the POTUS account, on the Biden account, on the VP account, on the Kamala Harris account. Y'all, this ain't hard. And you don't have to do it every single day. But when you, first rule of politics, and you know what? He's an asshole. He's a liar. He's an evil son of a bitch. But you know what? That fool Donald Trump took credit for every damn thing. Hey, Biden-Harris, learn to take credit. When you have a victory, run a victory lap. You know when somebody win a race at the Olympics, they don't go, and they go sit down. Hell no, they go run to the stand, get their flag, put it behind them, and they run around the stadium, and they soak in the adulate. That's what you have to do. And if you do more of that, then maybe your poll number's not in the low 30s or the 40s.
Right. Because
now you're telling people. In fact, on that particular point, yesterday, okay, Biden yesterday goes to North Carolina A&T, and he gives a speech talking about equity. And I saw some of these. I mean, this is tied to what I'm talking about with the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. And I see all these people. Talking about some students. If he ain't coming here saying he's getting rid of student debt, then he don't need to be here. First of all, $20 billion in student debt that's been canceled by Biden-Harris. Yeah. Now, Kelly, somebody out there might say, yeah, but should be more. But let's not act like 20 billion ain't nothing. That's right. First. I broke down the numbers of HBCU funding. There are only 4 other colleges that got more federal money in the last 2 years than North Carolina A&T. Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Florida A&M, and Texas Southern University. North Carolina A&T got $188 million in federal funding. I'm just saying, A&T students, I don't know what the hell y'all bitching about. But, here's the question. Did Biden tell them what they done for North Carolina A&T?
Exactly.
See,
right. Exactly what I was going to say.
You can't just think everybody know.
Right.
Kelly, go ahead.
No, I mean, but how would they know? How would they know if no one tells them? I mean, think about how you moved as a college student. How did you even get your information? A lot of it for me was still word of mouth. It didn't matter that you had social media and this, that, and the third, and the TV in your room or whatever. You get the most important information on the yard, no matter where, what kind of org you're in or whatever, or no org. I wasn't in org, but like you're on the yard. And if no one tells you anything while you're out and about flourishing as a college student, you're not going to hear about it. And it's also shocking to me that Biden was there and the university didn't even say anything. Did the university know about this stuff?
Well,
because
they know about it.
Did,
but
surely they did. That's my point. Like, surely the university knew that they got funding from the Biden administration. And before the Biden administration arrives on campus, they didn't, give a memo to the students saying, hey, be on your best behavior because we got this money. You know what I'm saying? Like you prepare your students as well. So it's a miscommunication on several levels, but it starts at the top. The fact that the Biden administration has not been touting their victories as well as they should be, if at all, is a problem. You know, yeah, we can talk about how NCAT didn't say anything to the students, but on the macro level, the Biden administration's communications team just kind of sucks when it comes to touting victories. You have no problem talking about all the problems you got, which is low-key why your approval ratings are so low, because we feel like all you got are problems and no successes. So, and then on top of that, the voting bloc that actually got you into the White House, you're not touting the successes regarding the bloc that got you into the White House. So we feel not only like you're failing, but that we were failed. That's a problem. That can be fixed with a good communication strategy. You just got to draft it. You got to do it.
Indeed, and that's the whole deal, Michael. In fact, I'm trying to look right now. I'm trying to look for a written copy of his speech. You know, we streamed the video,
right.
But
yeah, whitehouse.gov.
No, Michael, really, you want me to cuss you out? Really?
Well, I don't have the connections you do, Roland. That's where I go to
really?
Get transfer.
Really? You don't think that's the first damn site?
I'm just asking, Roland.
Look, I'm not a Sigma.
I'm just asking.
See, I knew he was going there.
I'm not a Sigma. Obviously, that's the first damn. I was the first damn place I checked.
Okay, I'm just asking. You may have been going through your emails.
No. First of all, Michael, let me help you out. First, I checked the emails to see if there was a transcript of his speech. Second, I then went to whitehouse.gov, and then I went to a third source. It ain't there, and now I'm emailing somebody from the White House. You better go ahead and make your comment, Michael.
So one of the things I know.
Mike better leave me alone.
I'm not rolling. I'm trying to help you.
You ain't trying. What's wrong with you, Sigmas?
Well, one of the things I noticed is like on the White House's YouTube channel, there's a delay in getting some of those videos up also. Some they'll stream live, and like Jen Psaki's press conference, White House did.
Well, his A&T speech is up because we streamed it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we streamed on the Black Star Network.
Okay, but I do notice, especially like with Vice President Kamala Harris, things that they're not broadcasting live of her. I noticed there's a delay in getting those videos up. But very quickly here, with the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, I think it's important to understand, and this is not me saying this is Senator Cory Booker, it spends millions of dollars more or allocates millions of dollars more to police. But it does it in a responsible way. This is what Senator Cory Booker said about the bill, and he helped write the bill. So the whole thing about one of the problems is, I think, with Biden talking about funding the police, he needs to be more specific about what it is that you're funding, because that's the same thing that the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act does, but it holds police accountable. But also the Fraternal Order Police championed the bill and they agree with it, and the International Association of Police Chiefs, they were behind the bill and they supported the bill as well. And they said, and they both said in the joint statement, it did not defund the police. It supported the police even more, but it worked all the way around. It supported communities. It supported police as well. So I think this would be a good time to relaunch that again in the Senate and try to get that pushed through. It already passed the House 220 to 212, March 3rd, 2021. No Republicans voted for the bill. The one Republican that voted for the bill put out a tweet, said he made a mistake and he was going to take back his vote because he wasn't trying to vote for the bill. The only people that voted for that bill were Democrats.
I found the text, but
I'm looking at the text right now, and I'm so pissed off reading it. Because let me just.
Where you at, C-SPAN?
No.
Don't insult Roland's intelligence like that.
I need everybody listening to me to understand, and I'm gonna show y'all in a minute why. You know,
I get frustrated too.
You know, when then Senator Kamala Harris went to the debate at Texas Southern University in Houston, someone asked me, what should she do when to open up she's an HBCU graduate at Howard University, to set the stage. This is what I said. This rolling. This just rolling. I said, if I was Senator Kamala Harris, and they introduced me, and I would say, first and foremost, this bison is happy to be back in the midst of tigers. One, you establish it off the top. I'm the only one up here on the stage who's an HBCU graduate, and we're on an HBCU. Then I would have said, before I give my opening comments, I would be remiss if I did not pay homage to two of the greatest members of Congress in American history who are proud graduates of this institution. America is thankful for the service of the late Congresswoman Barbara Jordan and Mickey Leland. The room would have erupted. You would have controlled the room from the jump. She didn't do that. Y'all go look at the video. She said, glad to be here, and she launched right in her comments. I was like, I don't understand what that was all about. But I want everybody watching, I want everybody listening to me, because I want to show you something. I want to show you something. I want to show you a missed moment that happens a lot that people don't understand. Y'all, I give lots of speeches, and I'm always cognizant of something specific that serves as something that's enticing to the audience. Specificity is always important. So this is the speech. And President Biden, he's talking about how impressive the campus is. It's good to be here at A&T. He's talking about, he mentions the mayor, he mentions Congressman G.K. Butterfield, he mentions Congresswoman Alma Adams, talks about her hard work for HBCUs. He mentions Governor Roy Cook. He goes through and he's talking about all of this. He's talking about the vice president being a Howard graduate. He's talking about Cedric Richmond being a Morehouse man. He's talking about, he always got to throw in Delaware State being an HBCU. He talks about, again, Delaware has the 8th largest black population in America. He talks about the members of his cabinet, the first black man to run the EPA, Michael Regan. He's a North Carolina A&T graduate. He's a proud Aggie. Now keep going. Y'all see him, A&T, more than 180 years of excellence. Your chancellor, professors doing great. Then he goes into how he reestablished the president's board of advisors on HBCUs. Has 2 North Carolina A&T alums on it. Applause. Great. Mentions that, he mentions Chris Paul being on the committee. Great. Okay? Now watch this, y'all. Right here. This is where somebody on the White House staff, how in the hell you didn't see this? And speaking of funding, we were able to deliver more than $5 billion last year to HBCUs and more to come this year, $5 billion. They said we couldn't do it, but everybody has realized what an incredible asset the HBCUs are. He goes on to talk about increased Pell Grants to help millions of black students in lower income families attend community colleges and 4-year schools. Then he's going on talking about, I'm here today to talk about my plan to create and expand HBCU programs. Y'all, listen to me. If you are talking at North Carolina, come on, move, thank you. Y'all slow the camera. If you are talking to North Carolina A&T, and you are talking about HBCU funding, and you say how we have delivered $5 billion to HBCUs Don't you think somewhere in there you might want to say how much you sent to A&T?
Yes. Yep.
Michael, why?
I'm just saying. Y'all, I got the doggone spreadsheet. If you gonna stand there, see, this is how you shut down your critics. You shut down your critics who always running their mouths when you're able to provide. See, and I know some of y'all saying, yo, Roland, it ain't that big of a deal. It is, because what you're doing is you're showing, you're not talking in general. See, let me tell y'all when you're giving a speech. If I gave money to Matt's school, Michael's school, but I ain't giving money to Kelly's school. Well, if I was talking to Matt, Michael, and Kelly, I'm going to say, boy, look how I've supported colleges and universities. Now, I know I ain't giving money to Kelly's school, so I ain't going to say, well, I gave money to Matt's school and Michael's school, and then Kelly be like, well, shit, he ain't give my school no money. So I'm going to be general. But if I've given money to Matt, Michael, and Kelly, well, guess what? I'm going to be specific, especially if I'm at Kelly's school. Y'all, this right here is the spreadsheet of funding. See North Carolina A&T? $14.1 million, $28.1 million, $22.8 million, $30.3 million, $40 million, $53 million, a total. North Carolina A&T received a total of $188,594,676. Y'all, how you not say that at A&T? I know some of y'all say, yo, man, that's a small deal. But no, because I saw the tweets from A&T students who were like, he ain't done nothing for A&T, or he hasn't got rid of our student loan debt. I can checkmate your ass when I say, you got this, you got this, you got this. This is y'all where basic messaging. This is where somebody who understands how effective messaging is can say, add this line to the president's speech. Don't just say we gave $5 billion. First of all, this is how you do it. This is how much A&T has gotten. Boom. Y'all, I can look at the list right here. Winston-Salem State, guess what? They got $81 million. You mention it. That's how you do it. So you first say, we have given $5 billion to HBCUs in this year alone. A&T, y'all have gotten this. Yeah, that's what you, Biden, you turn to Oprah. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. You don't go general, you go specific. And so now everybody in North Carolina goes, well, damn, hold up. Wait a minute. Winston-Salem State, they got 81 million. A&T got 188. That's two schools right there, y'all. That's $264 million. Let me see here. Who else is in North Carolina? Are there like 5 HBCUs in North Carolina?
You got Fayetteville.
Yeah, I know you got Shaw. Okay, let's go to Shaw. Let's go to Shaw. Hold up. Shaw got 44 million. So we'll do the math. So 188, 81, 44. So now we already up to almost 300 million. Who else in North Carolina? Is it like 5?
Isn't Johnson C.
North Carolina
Smith in
Central
North Carolina?
Johnson, somebody said Johnson C. Smith. Hold up, St. Augustine's is in North Carolina. St. Augustine's got 34 million. See, so now we over 300 million. We at almost 330 million, all right? Let's see, North Carolina Central, all right. They got 126 million. Y'all, HBCUs in North Carolina damn near got $500 million. How you not say it? One of y'all close this out before I go to break.
Hey, you have to claim your wins. This is what you have to do, because all the negativity is going to come your way. Everything negative that happens. So when you have victories like this, you have to claim it. You have to run on it. President Barack Obama, a couple of weeks ago, he said, he was asked, what do Democrats have to do to win the midterm elections? He said, you have to tell your story. You gotta run on you don't talk about what you didn't get accomplished. You run on what you got accomplished. Most people can't name 5 things and build back better. Run on what you got accomplished. Run on this stuff, Department of Justice. Run on the racial equity. Run on $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, and no Republicans in the House or Senate voted for the bill. Run on $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Run on Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, and they've been trying to get that passed since 1900. Claim your wins and run on what you did, not what you did not get accomplished.
I don't understand. Let me just go to a break. No, it really pisses me off.
It'll be all right.
No, it pisses me off because the mistake that people make, to what you said earlier, Kelly, they think people already know. They don't know. 80 to 90% of your job as president is actually building narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually explaining stuff. That's what it is. Obama did that crap. Oh, we assume people knew. What the hell wrong with you? No, they don't. Why you think Trump took credit for a lot of stuff? Donald Trump lied so much, he took credit for a veterans bill that Obama passed, and his dumbass supporters thought he did.
No, you're absolutely right. And just to bring it home, like you said, we are now in an era of communications, and specifically politics, in which politicians and the communications teams that support them cannot afford to take for granted the knowledge of the American people. Meaning, we have spent over almost a decade at this point being lied to on some form of level by our government. And we are now so jaded that unless you beat it into us by way of oversaturating the market with your good news, we are not going to believe it. And we're not going to regard it. So I don't know what the scheme or the plan is, but you have to really put it in people's faces that you're making a win. You have wins under your belt, that you're not a failure. You're not losing anything. You actually are doing more good than harm to the American people, but the American people don't know it because what's in the market right now? Everything that you're not doing. And that's the problem, because you think that resting on your laurels and just doing the work is enough. It's not. You got to do the work and then proclaim you're doing the work and then proclaim it again and then proclaim it again, until that narrative of you not doing anything is replaced by what you guys have done. And that's not what's happened yet. And that's why approval ratings are so low.
Hey, let me tell you something. When somebody tells me, Roland, you ain't done this, and I know I have, I name check they ass until I knock all the air out they damn body. Then I'm going to pound them in their chest again. You hit them with the facts. All right, y'all, I got to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about today being Jackie Robinson Day all across Major League Baseball, the 75th anniversary of the white folks, the racists, let go of Jim Crow, let one brother in. That's actually what happened. That's just cut to chase. That's what happened. But remember, I told y'all before, the Major League talent was already in the Negro Leagues. That's just a fact. Support us in what we do. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV. Roku, Amazon Fire, Xbox, Samsung Smart TV, and of course, join our Bring the Funk fan club where every dollar you give goes to support this show. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com. Roland@RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, you'll learn how wealth begins at home and how it can set the right path and the right course.
Wealth building, specifically in the Black community, is about making sure that we have assets that can last beyond our lifetime.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Y'all know who Roland Martin is. He got the ascot on, he do the news. It's fancy news.
Keep it rolling. Right here. Rolling.
Roland Martin.
Right now.
You are watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
All right, folks, today is 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball. All across Major League Baseball today, all Major League Baseball teams will be wearing his number 42 jersey. It was the first jersey retired by the entire league. And so on this day every year, every Major League Baseball player wears a jersey with number 42 on the back. No name on the back, just like right here. Just so y'all know, me and Spike Lee talked about that, that if you see somebody wearing a jersey at 42 and they got Robinson on the back, he didn't have his name on the back. So that's why they don't call that authentic. So that's why when you look at Major League Baseball, you actually see that. And so, as I told y'all yesterday, Jackie Robinson was a star in the Negro League Baseball leagues, playing for the Kansas City Monarchs. And so, he, of course, gets signed by Branch Rickey to play for the Dodgers, becoming the first African-American to play. And again, I hate to say major leagues because, again, I broke it down like what that actually means. Major league stars were in the Negro leagues. I just call them the white leagues because they just had more money and bigger and better stadiums and food and travel and uniforms and stuff along those lines. But major league talent was in the Negro leagues. And so I do that for a reason because that doesn't disrespect the talent that was there in the Negro Leagues. But Rachel Robinson, his widow, she turns 100 years old this year. She and the family have done one heck of a job continuing to keep his legacy going, telling the story. It was a couple of years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago. Actually, it was at least three or 4 years ago when I was in New York City for the breaking ground on the Jackie Robinson Museum. It's located in the same building where the foundation is. I've actually spoken to the foundation students before. Jackie Robinson was very much about education, about helping the next generation. That's what he was all about. And so joining us right now is someone who is quite familiar with the foundation, Della Britton. She's joining us from New York City, CEO of the foundation. What up, Della?
Hey, how you doing, Rob?
You mean tell me you're not at some game today?
I just left. I left the Mets. The Mets left. I've done 3 interviews since then. So hopefully the day's wrapping up. Although, the LA game, I'm not in LA. I did the New York stint.
Yeah, well,
with Major League Baseball. Yeah.
Of course.
Rachel's in LA though. David and Rachel went to LA for the Dodgers game. Starts at 7 tonight.
Okay, well, what I'm playing right now, folks, this is from the Associated Press. There was an unveiling of a street sign today in New York City. As you'll see right there, West 42nd Street, Jackie Robinson Way. There were a number of Major League Baseball stars out there. Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Jr. Was out there as well. I see CC Sabathia right there. Mariano Rivera, Trump supporter. See him right there. Listen to this.
Maybe my dad would have never played. Maybe I would have never played. But he went through things that I can't imagine what he's gone through. And I don't have to go through that because that man did it for us.
Our next speaker, you probably saw him wear his hat backwards, earring.
1, 2.
We will continue to move forward through the Jackie Robinson Foundation, through our family and our own legacy to ensure that the children and the next generation understand the commitment, the sacrifice he made to social change.
Jackie Robinson, welcome to Kyle Ribera in Major League Baseball. Appreciate you all joining. Thank you. Turn it back to you guys.
All right, so Della, so tell us, first of all, for people who have no idea, tell them about the foundation, what y'all do.
Well, you've had for 50 years. Next year, it'll be our 50th anniversary of the foundation, which Rachel founded in 72, but which now has grown into 242 scholars a year that get the $30,000 and the robust programming we do. But, last year, you missed this one, Roland, we opened something called JRF Impact, which is a platform that allows, I think we had 5,000 students, nearly 5,000 of 4,700 students sign up for JRF Impact last year. So now our program is reaching 4,700 African-American college students across the country with our, it's a college success program. And then, of course, the third leg of this 3-legged mission of ours is the museum, which will open, I'm pleased to announce, on July 26, 2022.
Wow, July's, okay.
That's what we're doing. We're exhausted, but we're going to get there. And you're going to be there, right?
You said, hold up, July 26th. See, now that you're telling me, because every 6 months, you get yo, what up, Della? What's up with the museum? So let me go, hold up.
It's coming.
July 26th. That's
Tuesday, and then there's a gala that night. You got to stay over. Y'all have to come and stay over.
All right, I'm putting it in the calendar right now, opening of Jackie Robinson Museum. All right, I'm putting it in the calendar.
Okay.
All right, I got it. Okay, it's in. All right, it's on the calendar. All right.
Good. It'll be a week after Rachel's 100th birthday.
Got it. Talk also, because I asked you this before, because I'm always about that. Major League Baseball, they sell a lot of 42 jerseys, hats as well. Y'all getting some of that money, right?
Yeah, and we'll be selling them ourselves in the museum. I've got to admit, Major League Baseball stepped up. We're always we stay close, and they've stepped up for the museum. Not to mention the Dodgers, the Los Angeles Dodgers, owned principally by a fellow named Mark Walter, who is the CEO and founder of Guggenheim Partners, big supporters. But in addition, Phil Knight, Nike, we've gotten some very good support. The players are coming through now. CC Sabathia has been a great supporter. Derek Jeter writes very big checks and is supporting the museum. So we're excited about not just opening, but the programming that we will be allowed to do now with our own in our own independent space. A lot of the things you talk about a lot, we are going to take off the gloves and really tell the story about the Negro Leagues, tell the story about how Jackie not only got into the major leagues, but, white leagues. I mean, I love that. I'm not sure I can use that, but I love it.
Well, the reason I do that, because I know
exactly.
What has happened is, I'm all about narrative and what has been positioned. Because first of all, Major League Baseball and the Hall of Fame, they've also changed with how they've acknowledged the Negro Leagues. For a very long time, they were treated as this less than league, not as important. Now they have put the records and things on par with the major leagues, and it's important because even just that phrase, if it, that's the major league, so y'all are really minor. And so for the psyche of African Americans, it's important that we not, just like people say, Josh Gibson was the black Babe Ruth. No. Josh Gibson was so I'm not. Josh Gibson was Josh Gibson. I'm not gonna call him the black Babe Ruth. Hell, Babe Ruth, who was probably was a brother. Babe Ruth could have been a white Josh Gibson. But when we allow that to happen, what we're really always saying is we are secondary to them.
Absolutely. There's no question. In fact, it's pseudo league because they had a minor league too. Remember, they fed the major league. So yeah, all these nomenclature. You know, we also talk about, and I know you know this because you're an avid fan, but, you know, Jackie was not the first black player in baseball, white baseball, if you will. I mean, I think that's accurate, frankly, Roland. You know, there were three before Jackie who played in the 1800s. Didn't last long. One of them played for 6 years, but, you know, didn't last long. But so Jackie is really, you know, he broke the color barrier decades after there was then a line drawn where proactively the leagues would not let black players in.
Yeah, and
you know, there's a little more to the story than just that. You know, Jackie wasn't even the first one who played in you know, the white leagues. I tell you, I got to use that now.
I'm gonna pull up in a second. This is some video that we shot from the groundbreaking. So tell folks just about you know, what the museum is going to showcase and encompass.
So when you walk in, the most important thing for me, for all the years that we've been, as you know, working to get this done, is for people to walk in and realize just how prolific Jackie was as, you know, a warrior in the struggle. It wasn't just baseball. He used his platform very wisely after he left baseball in 1956 was his last year. Beginning in 57, when he was hired by Chock full of nuts because he didn't get a job in baseball, which was kind of weird since he showed true leadership and prowess. It was bizarre that he didn't get offered a coaching position or any kind of an executive position. So he ended up getting a job as the vice president for human resources at Chock full of Nuts Coffee Company, which had a majority black labor force. And it was smart of them to bring Jackie in because he could relate to that force. And he immediately you know, compelled the sort of philanthropic arm of Chock full of Nuts to give back to the black community. So Jackie in that same year chaired the NAACP $1 million fundraising initiative. And some of that money came from Chock full of Nuts, and he was off and running. I mean, as you know, he had columns. He was, you know, the first black syndicated columnist, nationally syndicated columnist in the country, wrote often about the issues that he cared most about, which was inequality, social justice, economic empowerment. So, you know, the point is that Jackie used his platform, used his athletic celebrity, if you will, to better the community, to speak up to any chance he got. You know, he got on a plane after, you know, the Birmingham bombings and knew that the media would follow him because of his celebrity and hoped that they would see the water hoses and the dogs and everything else that was happening down south. He also, few know this about Jackie, he began these sort of nationally attended jazz concerts. And the first jazz concert raised money in 1962, raised money for a relatively unknown young preacher down south named Martin Luther King and his crusaders to be able to pay bail and get out of jail. That was, you know, Jackie. They literally took a duffel bag with cash down to bail out the freedom workers, freedom riders down in the South. So that began an annual event, a jazz concert, which is very well known up in these parts. And every year it benefited some part of the movement, some part of the civil rights movement, labor movement causes. So, you know, I want people to walk into the museum and look at a column and say, oh, didn't realize Jackie was a soldier and fought in the war. Didn't realize that when he got to the Army. His first protest there was why Blacks were not admitted to officers training school. So he was in the first.
So really, what you're trying to do is you're trying to expand the Jackie Roosevelt Robinson story, because
that's the Jackie narrative.
And so first of all, one of the things that I just add this to your plate. So Discovery just merged with Warner Media. I don't know who actually did the movie. It is very difficult to find the movie of Andre Braugher portraying Jackie Robinson, the trial of Jackie Robinson. You ought to hit David Zaslav and say, y'all should air that movie. It came out, I remember watching it, because I have a whole collection of what I call black DVDs of historical movies. I have been looking for that one, and a whole generation of people have no idea of him fighting Jim Crow and literally putting his career in the Army on the line, fighting that court-martial. It was an amazing movie. It came out years ago, and a lot of people haven't seen it, and it's hard to even get a VHS copy of it. So it'd be great if they could somehow restore that movie. So that would be just wonderful, because again, that's a part of the story. Of course, the movie 42 starring Chadwick Boseman. Of course, you also have Jackie Robinson himself playing himself in his own movie as well. Not the greatest movie in the world, but you actually see him. A lot of people honoring. Go ahead.
Ruby Dee was great.
Huh?
Ruby, great. She played Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, so many people are honoring him today. This is Robinson Cano with the New York Mets. He actually hit a home run today, first one in 19 months. He's named after Jackie Robinson. But I'm going to zoom in, folks. These were the special cleats that he wore today in honor of Jackie Robinson. Incredible, first of all, incredible cleats. I would love to have a pair of those shoes. That's just awesome. Maybe Della can get with the folks at Rock Deep, the black athletic shoe company. I'm wearing their kicks right now. We had them on a couple of weeks ago to do a special edition Jackie Robinson shoes to benefit the foundation. Just an idea.
Did you ever get those T-shirts I sent from Spring Hill?
Yes, I got the T-shirts.
Oh, good.
Yes,
okay.
I got the T-shirts. Right. Okay, I got the T-shirts.
So the Rock D sneakers, you said?
Rock Deep. It's black. I'm actually wearing, and again, you know, I got to coordinate, so I had to. Luckily, they sent me these, so it went perfectly with this Dodgers jersey.
Yeah.
So y'all,
Dodger blue.
Yes, this is the only time I wear non-Astro stuff on April 15th. And so this Brooklyn hat, y'all, is when I spoke to the Jackie Robinson Foundation. Della and the crew gave me this in a gift bag, and so I'm wearing the hat. And so I appreciate.
We gotta get you some more swag.
Yeah, we gotta do that. Got questions for our panel? Let's see here. Matt or Michael or Kelly, any of y'all play baseball?
When I was a kid, I played baseball, of course.
Okay, that means that y'all ain't had no talent whatsoever. So I'm gonna go ahead, because y'all was so slow.
What do you mean?
First of all, Matt went, nah, not really. Michael, could you play?
Yes, I could play baseball when I was a kid. Yes.
Oh, when you were a kid. Did you ever play you make varsity team in like high school?
No, I played varsity now.
Oh, okay.
Chess.
All right, I did. Kelly, go.
I played chess. What makes you think I don't have a question?
First of all, because you ain't got the first question. Kelly, go.
I do. Oh, okay.
So, okay. So, my question is regarding the museum itself. I'm a museum fanatic by, living in DC all my life and just loving the museum culture here. What is your favorite feature of this museum that you're really excited for people to see and experience?
Well, I have a few, and actually, I was with the NMAC people last week, and Lonnie he's been my guru through this process. I mean, Lonnie Bunch has just been my savior. I was with him last week, and he asked me a similar question, but I think it would have to be, there are two installations that I'm very excited about. One is a wall of 42 screens that will feature testimonials about Jackie from everybody from Spike Lee. I don't know, maybe we can get Roland to get on one of these. So we're starting to.
I'll do it.
to record. Okay, listen, I'm going to put you on the list because we want to be able to rotate them. So we need even more than 42. So there will be, little kids who may have confronted, the story of Jackie Robinson at some point in their lives. So that's going to be a great feature. It's going to be very popular, I think, because of the people, the characters who will talk about it. And then there's another feature that there's a huge scoreboard that goes 70 feet long as you walk into the main gallery, and it's interactive. And you will be able to answer questions on small sort of media outlets throughout the museum in real time. The results of that survey that you will answer will appear up on this huge scoreboard, and it will be juxtaposed with what other people have said on that question. So popular question among the curators of the museum is, let's talk about Colin Kaepernick, and let's talk about how Jackie Robinson would not salute the flag back in the 40s and 50s because he said, I'm a black man in America, and I've got to, make sure I register my fundamental complaint about how I am not a first-class citizen.
His book is called I Never Had It Made, and he said, if there's one black person who is not free, I never had it made.
Exactly right. And so that's a feature I'm excited about because we'll get a lot of sort of real-time topical feedback from visitors on, just what they think. What Jackie does for us is all of these issues we're confronting now. My tagline, Roland will tell you my tagline in my email is one of Jackie's quotes that resonates with me still, which is the most important issue of our time is the issue of first-class citizenship for all Americans. And he said that in 1947. So I ask you, is that relevant? He talks about how, Roland, your quote, but unless everybody has first-class citizenship and the opportunity to achieve, and I have to tell you, we've gotten some pushback on that already. We've done some surveys with our focus groups, and there are going to be some fireworks at the museum.
Well, let me go ahead and say this before I go to my next question, because and here's, I think, and you don't have to confirm it. Let me just say it, Della, because I know you got to raise the money and everything else, but here's the real deal. White America wants to treat Jackie Robinson like some civil rights bobblehead figure. I say the same thing every year about Dr. King. What people want to do is they want to strip the radicalness of Jackie Robinson.
Absolutely.
And so they want to essentially strip the blackness of Jackie Robinson, the freedom fighter of Jackie Robinson.
He was a nice Negro, but
see, they want, Jackie Robinson, he didn't fight back. Jackie Robinson.
You see another Jackie Robinson.
It's the same thing with King. And so when you had the folks, they sitting here giving the quotes. I called out many people. I said, hold up. When doing the Colin Kaepernick deal, I said, hold up. Don't forget what Jack. And there was somebody were even trying to quote Jackie. I'm like, y'all didn't read his book. And so so what y'all are doing for me, I think, which is great, by telling, like Paul Harvey say, the rest of the story, it's like, wait a minute, hold up. And it wasn't just doing baseball. This is a brother who was swinging, who was pissed with Nixon, Jackie Robinson was a Republican who was like, y'all better be speaking on civil rights.
He was an independent. He was never a registered Republican. That's another misnomer. He was an independent, but he sometimes voted Republican.
Right.
He initially supported Nixon because Nixon said to him, listen, we want to put blacks on corporate boards. We want to, talk about economic empowerment. When he went to meet with Kennedy, Kennedy wouldn't even look him in the eye. And Kennedy said to him, I just don't think it's time for the Negro to. And Jackie walked away from his meeting with Kennedy and said, he's not ready. And then Nixon said the right thing. Look, slick politician that he was, and got Jackie's endorsement.
But in '64, Robinson was very ticked off at Senator Barry Goldwater and campaigned against him.
Absolutely. And rejected Nixon and talked about how wrong he was in assessing his character because he wasn't what he said he was, and he didn't do what he said he was going to do. So
but that's the Robinson they don't want to talk about. Michael.
Just like, yep.
Michael?
All right. Thank you, Roland. Thanks, Della, for giving us this history lesson. Can you talk about Jackie Robinson testifying in 1949 at the House Committee on Un-American Activities against Paul Robeson, and what that and why he did not want to testify but felt compelled to do so? Can you talk about that, please?
Absolutely. And I was actually going to start talking about that. And I said, let me shut up and hear the questions. And I did an interview with the Black Press, this group called More to Black. Roland, do you know this group, this consortium of Black newspapers? A woman named Liv Dwyer interviewed me yesterday. And I was talking to her about the role that the Black Press played in Jackie's, not just his baseball years, but after. And the HUAC testimony was something, I'll give you the story here. So Branch Rickey, who was a Republican, some thought, Rockefeller Republican, meaning, a little less, right-wing than some. Look, Branch and Jackie had gotten close at that point. Branch was very supportive of Jackie. Rachel was the only spouse who was able to travel with Jackie to give him companionship when he was on the road and couldn't stay in the mainstream hotels. But so Branch Rickey said, listen, why don't you testify? Because professedly, Jackie said, we got to go to war. We got to go to war. That was his disagreement with Martin Luther King. Every conversation they'd start with, and we will have letters back and forth between them that are just so eye-opening, where they say, listen, brother, I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. We need the struggle. We need you to do what you're doing. I just disagree. I think sometimes we got to go to war. Jackie wasn't the pacifist that, Gandhi and Martin Luther King were. And he said, sometimes people are ugly and violent. And he says, you got to fight. You do your duty. Okay. But Jackie disagreed with Robeson on the same terms. Robeson was aligning himself with the Communist Party, with, specifically the Russian Communist Party, and said, why should Black people go to war against the communists who haven't done anything to us? And, they've sort of got a system that we ought to look at. You all know that debate. And Jackie struggled with that. He said, okay, I'll testify, because he was being true to himself. He said, I don't need to, in fact, to quote Jackie, he said, I don't need a bunch of communists and Russians to tell me how to fight racism in my country. I need to fight it in my country, but I don't know what they're going to do to help our struggle here. And I'm not convinced that they would act any differently if there were a substantial population of Black folks in Russia. So that was Jackie's position. And he did not want to align with the communists. He said, look, I'm Democratic. I'm in the United States. Now, Jackie spent days and days on that testimony. About 5 to 10 minutes of it talked about his disagreement with Robeson's position. Mind you, after he laid the foundation for how much he respected Paul Robeson, both as an athlete, as an artist, as an activist, he said, look, I give him his due. We disagree in methodology. We both are looking for the same thing, which is justice and, social justice, equal opportunity. But I don't need to be communist to do that. That was his basic sort of divide with Robeson. The rest of his testimony, the rest of it, which was what that piece was, talked about racism in America and how, disillusioned he was, how we needed to do something, how it was, the whole notion of, in fact, he would say, until every Black person is free, nobody is free, Black or white, because it's a problem. And it's only covered what Jackie said about his disagreement with Robeson. They didn't cover any of the rest of the speech. The overwhelming majority of the speech was about racism in America. In fact, there's an exchange at one point where one of the senators say, well, listen, you need to be patient. Colored folks, Negroes need to be patient. And Jackie said, well, what are you talking about patient? We're going on 200 years here. And, you're talking about being patient. So there was this real heated exchange with a couple of the senators, none of it covered in the white press. However, the Black press covered it. The Chicago Defender covered it. The Pittsburgh Courier covered it. The Amsterdam News covered it. The Baltimore African American covered it, and talked about Jackie's testimony about racism. And yeah, he said disagreed with Brother Paul Robeson. And that was really pretty much the case throughout Jackie's experience in baseball and after, where the Black press would cover the whole story. The first day Jackie played, April 15th, 1947, he was a blip about him having played. at the end of, sports columnists, they would say, well, yeah, Jackie Robinson was up, he was 2 for 3, hit the game-winning RBI at the end of the game. I mean, pretty significant for a Black guy who's playing against all this vitriol. And the Black press, headlines, Jackie Robinson, comes through, has a great game, debut. And so that fueled Jackie. I mean, that was a big help to Jackie. And when I was talking to, the Black journalists the other day at NABJ, I've talked to NABJ people. I know you're involved in that, Roland. And, it was critical that the Black press stepped up. And of course, it was the Black press through Wendell Smith and Sam Lacey. Yep. Those guys had been pushing to integrate baseball for decades. I mean, Paul Robeson testified before the baseball commissioner about integrating baseball. So the Black press was there from the beginning. You guys, you were pushing the envelope. And, the big issue for Branch Rickey was, okay, let's get Black folks into the stadiums, but, you all know this narrative, but they got to behave. Don't drink any liquor and come to me. Don't make a fuss. If you hear, epithets thrown at Jackie, relax. Don't overreact. If Jackie can keep us cool, so can you. I mean, the press was just vital. I don't know. Was that responsive?
Yeah, no, that was absolutely. Because because what you just described is the narrative that people run with. Oh, Jackie Robinson sold Black people out, and he dissed Paul Robeson.
Yeah,
but they simply, but they had a disagreement. But that's also what happens when you got Black folks who are only operating by white media, or what they also learn. And as we talked about earlier, Michael, they don't read nothing. They don't actually go pull the actual testimony from the congressional hearing.
Yes. Which will be at the museum. The whole testimony.
And what Della laid out there is also, for everybody listening, you also understand why it's vital to have Black media. We started this show talking about the great things the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division has been doing that no one has even covered. This is why we matter, because guess what? We're not operating by what they do. Again, we're not sitting here, living by their code, by what they do. And this is why we have this mural right here. Y'all can go and take it in our studio, which is the nation's first Black newspaper, Freedom's Journal. And right there, we wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. And this is precisely why we pay homage right here in our Black Star Network offices. Matt, your question for Della.
Very quick question. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations to the foundation and the Robinson family for all the amazing things happening. There was a little infographic that said 7.2% of the rosters in the MLB have Black players on them. In terms of the percentage of players, or 7.2% of those are Black. So does the foundation have any partnerships or any activities to help bolster those numbers in the MLB of Black players?
Well, let me just say I'm impressed. You guys are hitting all the hot buttons today, all the things that are very much on the screen, so to speak. Okay, so to answer your question as to whether we're involved, look, we have to some extent, stay in our lane, which is, we're a college scholarship program. Our goal is to get African-American students, not just through college, but get them to self-actualize, get them to be able to take advantage of all that's available to them. So exposing them to their options. And then, of course, the museum, which broadens substantially, our mission broadens what we can do. So here's an example. Have you heard about the Players Alliance? It's a relatively new, it's a 2-year-old organization going on its 2nd year that was started by Curtis Granderson, CC Sabathia, a group of Black baseball players who, in the aftermath of George Floyd, it really did grow out of that, wanted to form a Black baseball players union. So this is separate from the Players Association, which, by the way, now has at its helm the first African-American and the first former baseball player named Tony Clarke, wonderful guy, heading it. So Tony, as you alluded to, Roland, Tony's a little compromise. He represents, it's like Barack Obama. He represents all the baseball players. But Tony's head is very much, he's very active in pushing the envelope for recruiting more Black players. So just give you a little more flesh on those statistics. So in 1981, the percentage of Black baseball players was 18.7%. Okay. So here we are. Let's fast forward another almost 30 years, right? And the Black ball players last year was 7.6. This year, as you pointed out, it dropped to 7.2. So it's going down. It's steadily going down, and it's continuing to go down. Is there a concern about that? I mean, I'm not in the heads of either Rob, the commissioner of baseball. I'm not in the heads of the team owners, which of course, are a very strong force behind these issues, particularly the wealthy team owners. But there are efforts to try to increase the number of African-American ball players. Let me throw into this equation the Hispanic, the Latin ball players, Latinx, Latin ball players who have come up from the Caribbean, come up from Central and South America to play, some of whom I have to always remind people, Latin is not a, Hispanic is not a race. So there are Black Hispanics and there are other Hispanics. There are white Hispanics. There are those who are of mixed race, however, whatever nomenclature we're using today. That's a complicating factor, though, because if Major League Baseball were to count the Black ball players who play, who come up from Latin America, and who are Black, and how do we define that? That's a whole nother conversation, y'all. And that's one of the things we want to talk about in the museum. We want to do an installation in the museum that literally counts. It's in the section where we talk about the Negro Leagues, because Jackie only played for the Negro Leagues basically for a little over half a season. So yeah, he was in the Negro Leagues, but he was there, almost 9 months, which is, a little less than a season. But we want to count the number of Black ball players, baseball players through history. We literally want to do, in fact, we want to do it in a form of an art installation. It's a piece of artwork, and we've gotten the initial specs on it. But it's causing a real issue, because what do you do with the Black Hispanic players? Because right now, Major League Baseball, the Richard Lapchick, what's his Richard Lapchick program?
He was a long time at dealing with sports, diversity in sports, a long time at Northeastern. I think he's now moved to another university. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. It's down Florida, Central Florida. So, they count Black African, they use the term African-American ball players, and I think they purposely use African-American because they're confused. And then the Latin players, whether they are Black or white, are in a separate category. The Asian ball players are in another category. And then they even separate that out because they'll do a, there's a South American versus, Central American and the Caribbean. So it's funky. And so we're trying to figure out, are we literally going to go around and poll Big Papi, okay, right? Take Big Papi, who's going to go into the Hall of Fame on July 24th of this year. He's a Black man, and there's no question about it. His English is still a little broken, but, he really very much is and identifies as a Black person. But he is not counted in those numbers. Isn't that interesting?
Well, one of the things that the LA Times has this story out today, it was a column actually, go to my iPad please, where that the manager of the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, is calling out Major League Baseball for reducing opportunities for Black players. He criticized them for cutting the rounds of the draft. He said that is having an adverse impact. They also eliminated 43 minor league teams. That was about 1,000 players. And he said, look, this has an impact on players. This is when you're talking about undeveloped, raw, talented African-American players, that process takes time. It always has. When the draft is shortened, it just doesn't give those same guys the opportunities. It also doesn't give the organizations the opportunity to see those guys or identify those guys. And so he said it. He said, you know what? In years past, I wouldn't have spoken out, but now I am. And he said, I'm now concerned myself with more than just managing on the field. And I think. And
so back to that circle, though, the Players Alliance, Roland, that's one of their goals. One of the goals of this group that got to these Black ball players, and they raise money every Jackie Robinson Day. They ask, and some of the white players contribute too, by the way. They ask for players to give their salary for the day, for Jackie Robinson Day, to the Players Alliance. And that money is being used primarily, a good part of their agenda is to recruit in Black communities to go and do, training, seminars in Black communities, baseball seminars. So that's one of their goals. Major League Baseball has contributed $100 million. $10 million to that effort. So, there are some initiatives like that. Harold Reynolds, obviously well-known MLB baseball commentator, is talking about forming find, where are the 42s, which is to go around, not to colleges and universities, but to some of the, the farm teams, to go to the neighborhoods where some of these black players are playing some really good baseball, and recruiting that way, not only recruiting from college, not only recruiting from high school. So in any event, sort of long-winded answer to your question, there are efforts. Let's see what happens.
Well, bottom line is pressure bust pipes, and those things must continue. So, Del, it's always good to see you. We appreciate it. If folks want to support the foundation, where do they go?
www.JackieRobinson.org. One word, Jackie Robinson. And hope to see you guys at the museum.
Well, first of all, we will be there. Our cameras will be there. And, of course, again.
Stephen A. Smith is going to do, going to broadcast live from the museum that day. They're going to string it live. ESPN's going to string it live. So if you can't make it to the opening.
Oh, no. Well, first of all, remember, I own this, so I can stream it too. And I don't have to ask anybody. We can broadcast from there as well.
Good. Of course.
See? That's how we do it.
Absolutely.
All right, Della. I appreciate it.
Guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good one. Folks, going to a break. When we come back, remember that white Republican in Virginia mad at Phyllis Randle and the Deltas? He has apologized. Ooh, can't wait to hear my panel talk about that. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network on Jackie Robinson Day. YouTube folks, y'all hit that like button. We should be at 1,000 by now. Facebook, hit the like and share button as well. I'll be right back.
On the next A Balanced Life, the Bible says that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. After 2 years of hunkering down, we can all relate to that. Spring, sun, and fun. We may be ready to get out there, but our bodies may not be ready to party. On the next A Balanced Life, we're going to get our mind, body, and spirit on the same page. That's A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on the Black Star Network.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Deion Cole from Black.
Randall, it looks like you're in the D.C. area, so you might actually have.
Yes, I'm based in D.C. I live in Loudoun County. I do know Phyllis Randle.
So, Phyllis likes to show, and this really has me curious again. Like, why would Phyllis Randle hire the Miss Chairman of the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors? Does we've already declared that Phyllis Randle's a Delta?
Hold on, that's one person. Name them.
Phyllis Randle's a public person. I'm certainly not going to name the private individual. I've researched, but I've not personally heard from Phyllis Randle. This all starts with Phyllis Randle hiring the executive director.
No, it doesn't. No. First of all, hold on. Phyllis Randle did not embezzle anything.
No, she did not, but her executive director did.
I want to make sure you're on record by saying that. Well, that was Scott Pio, who is the chair of the Loudoun County Republican Party. Had him on the show a couple of days ago. Got a little contentious there. We had Phyllis Randle, of course, who is a county supervisor, on yesterday, ripping into him. So, well, looks like Scott has gotten an earful from a whole bunch of y'all. So a couple of hours ago, he dropped this apology on social media. Over the last few days, I have reflected and talked to many Virginians about my recent insensitive remarks. I apologize for my comments and regret that they did not truly represent what I or my party truly believe. Our new Lieutenant Governor and Attorney General, both Republicans, represent the first Black woman and first Hispanic person elected statewide in Virginia. America's a wonderful melting pot of ethnicities and cultures, and I'm grateful that Loudoun County and Virginia are a beautiful reflection of that liberty and diversity. It's amazing, Kelly, when you catch that heat, it's on your ass.
I mean, of all the sororities, you pick the largest Black one to come after. I'm pretty sure they're the largest one.
Yeah, they are.
That was just dumb. That was just really, really dumb. It's the caucasity for me. I mean, it was abundantly clear that he knows nothing about Divine Nine organizations, Black sororities and fraternities, or even the culture in which they came to be. I'm not Greek personally, but going to an HBCU and having God knows how many friends, family, aunts, uncles who are in these respective organizations, I can't imagine disparaging them on the level that this man did with gumption. That was the thing. Again, the caucasity was in abundance that day, and it seems like a pretty shallow apology to me, but if they take it, you like it, I love it.
And again, bottom line is, yes, he apologized, but be very careful, Matt, what situation you stepped into, because you can learn pretty fast. And I tried to warn him. I told him, hey, Scott, I don't know if you want this heat, player, so you might want to back up. But again, hashtag, we tried to tell you.
Then he came on the show and doubled down, it looked like, right? And people outside of the show got after him. So I don't have anything to add beyond, I'm a Howard man, and I've seen Deltas, obviously Alpha Chapter Deltas, do such amazing things. I worked for a Delta member of Congress when I was in college. So I don't know what he was thinking, but I'm glad he got that clap back, because as Kelly said, the caucasity of it is just absurd. So I'm glad that they came at him.
See, I think what happened, Michael, I think he had some Black Republicans who said, say, dog, what you doing? You do not want these folks bringing that heat to the polls. Man, leave them people alone. They're going to be whooping some behind in the midterms.
Well, he should have talked to those Black Republicans before he put that dumbass tweet out, okay? So I watched, on your YouTube channel, Roland, I watched about 20 minutes of that interview. I had to stop because I said, he's just ridiculous. So when he said that Vice President Kamala Harris was a Delta, I said, that's your ass right there. They're coming after you. So that's when he said that, I said, oh, you know nothing about the Divine Nine. You know nothing about Vice President Kamala Harris. See, this is all you dumbass white Republicans. You need to look at this example, and this is what happens when you mess with Black women, okay? And you have no clue what you're talking about. So I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, and I'm glad. And they need to make sure they vote as many Republicans out of office in 2022 as we can.
And I had some people, they were like, man, I don't know why you got this guy on this show. But I told y'all, see, sometimes you got to put folks on Front Street and you got to teach their ass a lesson. I mean, it's sort of like, when you were a kid and, you thought you could say some certain stuff to your daddy or your mama, and your daddy or your mama were like, all right, it's like that, teach your ass a lesson. And then next thing you know, you were involved in some long, intensive labor because you decided to get smart. Well, that's my whole deal. I'm gonna sit here and just like smack your ass around and make you look foolish because you didn't decide to call somebody ahead of time. First of all, y'all pull the photo up. First, here's how dumb he was. Y'all remember, he was whining about, it was a tweet, he was whining about all of these Deltas who took a photo in front of the White House. Keisha Lance Bottoms, she put the tweet out with regards, took the tweet out with regards to the photo. She said, calling all Deltas to the floor. And these folks sitting here, and again, he's sitting here all hot and bothered. And I'm like, man, what is wrong with you, dog? Y'all a little slow. I'm moving fast. Here we go. Boom, hit the photo. Okay, here it is. Now, here's the deal. You got that many Black women in the photo. Why you gonna try to question them Black women? Scott, leave them the hell alone. It's too many of them. And that's a small little gathering right there. But when you don't know nothing about Black culture, and he didn't know nothing about, they said they run, this fool don't even know what the phrase "we running this" means.
Yeah, run the yard. Yeah.
I mean, right. I mean, now, Michael, you familiar when Alpha say we run in the yard? I know you are.
No, not at Wayne State. They weren't. When
Yeah,
I was
right.
there. No,
Yeah, okay.
Signals
All
was
right.
running the yard.
Yeah.
Yamaha chapter of Ashanti Empire.
It's
we were running the
always
yard.
somebody who say, when I was there, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, okay, right. But he didn't know the language. He talking about they throwing their signs up the cut. I like, boy,
like they were gang symbols. Like they were gang symbols. But Roland, see, this is something deeper. This deals with the fear of the browning of America by many conservatives, many white people, especially some white men, not all of them. Okay, the 2020 census, the white population dropped below 50% for the first time since 1790. Okay, and they see African Americans rising politically, and many of them feel threatened by this. Okay, so we need to really understand what he was really exhibiting when he's calling them out. He feels threatened by powerful African Americans, especially African American women, who are organizing politically.
That's it. I mean, but I keep telling folk, they need to understand what's going on here. It's white fear. It's driving them crazy, Kelly. And that's why, because in one of his tweets, he mentioned, are they the organization behind the push for equity and CRT in our schools? They can't handle this.
I mean, again, he was just dumb. Like, I keep going over it and seeing the clips and looking at the picture, and I'm just like, just one of those women, if you came after just one of those women, like, all hell would have broken loose. But you came after the whole picture of women. Like, do you know how much power these women hold? Like, Delta Sigma Theta notwithstanding, who they are, congresswomen, executive directors, just connected on the Hill. Like, he better be glad he got a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got some power, and not because of some gang stuff and whatever he thought. It's because they work to get to where they are, and they know the system, and they also know how to navigate in that system. And when they see something like this man, who frankly doesn't belong in the system, who is a detriment to the system, I think they gave him grace by not rooting him out. Like, a lot of grace. So just after just one, like,
I'm trapped. Hey, Matt, I keep telling these people what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people, because remember, he was talking about power, and they saying they're running this and running that. That's the fear. It is the fear of African Americans assuming power, African Americans now having a say in this republic.
And it's not only the fear, it's the fear mixed with indignation. Because if you look at that tweet, he said Skull and Bones has lost its power. So it's not only a fear of Black people having power, it's an anger about losing power relative to Black people's power increasing. I thought that was really important that he noted that. Skull and Bones has lost their power, and then he juxtaposes that to Delta Sigma Theta as the organization that supplanted Skull and Bones. So I think you're exactly right with that fear, but I think it's in addition to the indignation for watching the grasp on that power slip away.
Hey, folks, I'm telling y'all, we have not taken any pre-orders, but this is dropping in September. And y'all, I picked this cover photo for a reason. Pull it up. These are all those white folks who were out in front of, now pull up on my television, please, thank you, who were out in front of the Capitol with their Trump signs and their Trump flags. And that's why the book is called White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. That's dropping in September, and that's what this whole thing was about, this complaining about the power of these deltas. That's what's driving it. All right, y'all, going to a break. We come back. We're going to talk Education Matters right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Don't forget the folks to support us what we do. Download the Black Star Network app, all platforms, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. You also, of course, can join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar you give goes to support what we do. You know that's critically important for us, folks. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 200370196. And of course, Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. We have PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. And Zelle is roland@roland.martin.com, roland@rolandmartinunfiltered.com. And we want to thank all of y'all because yesterday, boom, we hit 850,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. We want that many people who are also downloading the Black Star Network app because guess what? We own and control that platform. We don't own and control YouTube. So we appreciate y'all subscribing to our YouTube channel. 850,000, thank you so very much. But we want to hit that same number on the Black Star Network app. I'll be right back.
When did you know that this is what I want to do?
I think right after high school, because in high school I was in all the plays, but I was always funny, but I didn't know nobody would pay me for it, you know? And then I saw Eddie Murphy. This was like 84 when I saw Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was the hottest thing in the whole wide world, not just comedy, but anywhere. He saved Saturday Night Live. If he hadn't started that show would be gone. He had done 48 Hours, Trading Places, his first Beverly Hills Cop, could wear the hell out of a red leather suit, and he wasn't but 23 years old. He was rich enough to pee cream, and he got all that telling jokes. I said, shit, I've been funny my whole life. I didn't know people give you money like that, so I went and got some Red Fox albums. I went down to my mama's basement where I was living anyway, and I stood in that mirror and played them albums and them jokes until I could tell them like they was mad.
Wow.
And that started me doing jokes, and then I went and did comedy in the street. I was standing on State Street, tell jokes and pass my hat, and white folks would come up and just hand me money, and I liked it.
This is Judge Mathis.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mac Wiles, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, of course, every Friday we focus on the issue of education, critically important to our audience, and so always providing you with useful guests and information when it comes to helping your children become better educated, but also the public policy issues that also impact education on the local, state, and federal level as well. Last week, of course, we talked about the impact of President Biden and their efforts to cut funding for charter schools. Now, I'll talk about how rap is being used to actually help our students learn math. A math teacher in my native state of Texas found a different approach to help his students who are struggling to grasp tough math concepts. He utilizes rap music. Check out Thomas Mayfield.
With the crew, West Side coming through, repping Como math, fifth grade is the truth. Learning decimal place values is super easy. So cold with my math, you can call me breezy. Class and track from debate, I can teach all day. Listen close, don't straight, I write numbers 3 ways. Word form, standard form, and expanding notation. Sing aloud if you're ready to impress the nation. Now let's break this thing down. Let's start with the tens. Like a dime to a dollar is 1 out of 10. Then we move to the hundreds, 1 point out.
Teaches at a Title I school in Fort Worth. He said he immediately saw results with his new method. He, of course, the rapper and educator joins us right now. So when you say you saw immediate results, how so? Thomas, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
There we go. All right. So when you say you saw immediate results, how so?
You know, I'm teaching in Title I schools, single parent homes, and it's a struggle sometimes, but kids are able to be receptive if they have someone that is transparent and they have someone they care about and understand why they're coming to them the way that they are. And when I say immediate results, I'm talking about kids are receptive to music more than anything else. It's easy to convey a skill or teach a skill to a student when you're using rap music. And I like to sort of bring in other contents like literacy, talking about prefixes and syllables when we write different lyrics and whatnot with our tempos and our beats per measure. So it all fits in there, and it works. It works for all the good.
Were the students surprised? And when did you start doing this? When did you first start?
2007, I worked in 405 ISD, 405 Independent School District at M.I. Logan Elementary. And I decided to make a CD called Milk and Cookies. And I felt like, okay, let me go ahead and sort of take some rap songs that are current, take out the lingo, the inappropriate lingo, and appropriate vocabulary words and different phrases that still sound sort of cool to a fourth or fifth grader. And it just took off, man. There's that clip right there, some Como Elementary Leadership Academy at Como. Shout out to Mr. Buchanan and Mr. Valencia Rhymes and Mr. Farr. Our kids are awesome, and it just took off. They gravitated to it. They used it. I can see the kids doing assignments, starting to memorize and speak or rap the songs we had just previously learned while they're doing tests, and it's resonating with them.
Now, did you have any fellow educators who said, Thomas, really, bruh, this ain't it? Did you freeze? Did you hear the question, Thomas?
Say it again for me, Roland.
I said, did you have any of your fellow educators who say, Thomas, this ain't it?
Yeah, I had a couple. I have criticism every now and then, and you have to band together with people that have that comfortability and wanting to reach all students and discover that we can tap into everybody's skill, everybody's talent. And a couple of colleagues, I sort of came up with that idea as far as the culturally responsive practices we want to implement in our schools. Sir Princeton Harden, my guy, Mr. Jeffrey Vinson, we all are sort of on the same wave. And, you just have to make sure that you show results. I think a lot of teachers are reluctant to change their mindset because they are often not able to see results, but results pay. I mean, and our test scores, wherever school, I've been at, Sunrise, M.I. Logan, even Como, they've just taken off.
I'm gonna go to questions in a second. Maybe if one of my teachers had done this, because I didn't know what the hell they were talking about in math class. I had no damn idea. Look, and I was straight. Look, I told my teachers, let me explain to some of y'all. I said, I don't see Pythagoras theorem or none of that in my future. I said, but I can count money. I said, so that I can negotiate. I did. Y'all think I'm lying. I was straight up honest. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about in that math class. Algebra, geometry made no sense to me, but I knew how to count money. Matt, question.
Well, first, brother, I appreciate what you're doing on the other side of the state. I'm at the bottom of Texas, but I appreciate your efforts. And I wanted to ask, I know Tarrant County and Fort Worth are pretty conservative, and right now kind of issues with CRT, with critical race theory are really a big issue as it relates to schools in particular. So have you had the school district and parents pushing back on it, trying to kind of make a marriage between critical race theory and rap, what's being taught? Have you dealt with any issues related to that?
Not as far as rap is concerned. The critical race theory aspect is sort of like with different factual information, like you talk about the Trail of Tears, you talk about the racism that occurred 1960s, around that time. You might push back if you give your opinions, but if you're stating factual information and you're using music and you have a bond with your families and your communities, that's the first thing you have to develop so that they know that you're doing it for the betterment of the students and making them, proud about what they're learning and excelling in school. So I think when you have that bond and that communication, that open line of communication, there's not really pushback. And I haven't experienced a lot of pushback from CRT from that aspect at all.
Good. Thank you.
All right, then. Michael, you're next. I don't, and Michael, I don't think he's a Sigma. I just want to let you know that. I don't think so.
Oh, it's okay, Roland. It's all right.
Look at his face. He like, oh, absolutely not. Go. He like, oh, hell to the no.
It's all right. It's all good, Roland. Hey, Thomas, this is something great that you're doing, and our children really love music and gravitate to it. So just curious, have any of the other teachers maybe started doing the same thing, maybe for science, maybe for other subjects? Because you can use this to teach different subjects as well if you have a creative teacher.
Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to my guy, Sir Princeton Harden, repping the Ron Clark Academy, Atlanta, GA. One of the best science teachers in America, hands down. He's a product of Fort Worth, great guy, cool spirit. He's very current, very trendy. And we have to realize that, a lot of districts are looking at the charter schools and, hey, the charter schools are taking kids, this and that. But what are we doing to keep our kids? We have to think outside the box. And I think that getting to where we can provide training for teachers to be more comfortable and because everybody's not going to step in and do a 16-bar melody, so I get it. Right. But at the same time, being comfortable and giving yourself a shot for the kids. And again, the forefront should be for the kids. I mean, it shouldn't be a problem. And like I said, it's generated different buzz across the nation. I've been doing this since 2007. Shout out to the ladies in my row.
Look like he froze again for a second. Hopefully we'll get him right back. Thomas, you back?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm here. All
right, then. Well, your signal's going in and out there. Kelly, your question for Thomas.
Sure. As someone who grew up around music, this is really exciting to me. How many, if any, rappers are you most inspired by that prompts you to make the music? And secondly, is there an album coming soon? Like how big and how far do you want this to go?
Yes, great questions. I'm very inspired by conscious rap. J. Cole, shout out to K-Dot, Kendrick Lamar, of course, Common, and also new rap like with Drake and some of the trendier melodies like Moneybagg Yo. I listen to all that. I'm transparent with my kids and I let them know that, hey, listening to rap and putting it into a certain type of lyrical format is important. We don't bring the inappropriate side into the classroom, but just them hearing the beat or the production, it just gets them riled up and they get more engaged in learning. And yes, in the fall, I'm planning on doing a short film. I want to produce and write the entire soundtrack. I'm a writer outside of school, a songwriter as well. And as far as the album, not right now, but maybe in the future, in the springtime of 23, we'll check into something like that.
Well, I'll end it with this here. You may not know this, but what you're doing is very similar to a sister who is the genesis, if you will, of KIP, the Charter School Network. Her name was Harriet Ball. Harriet Ball, she passed away 11 years ago of a heart attack at the age of 64, but it was Harriet Ball who was using music to teach her students. And one of the founders was a fellow teacher. He was across the hallway. The co-founders, Dave Levin and Mike Feinberg, literally walked across the hallway and was trying to understand why these students were just singing and laughing and having fun. And as you see, this is the Washington Post story. She gave them a host of original songs, chants, and games to encourage learning. They took the name of their network from her most popular chant, which was, "You gotta read, baby, read. You gotta read, baby, read." And it goes, the more you read, the more you know, because knowledge is power, power is money, and I want it. Again, so the education model of KIP is all built on the rhythm being used by a black teacher in her classroom. And so what you're doing is very similar to what she did. And that's why KIP today is one of the largest charter school networks in the country. It's because of, again, them being inspired by what that sister did. So, Thomas, final comment. I think Thomas, you still there? You froze again.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Your final comment.
And like you said, Roland, the charter schools, they have a lot of things that they can do outside of the regular spectrum. And I agree. I like a lot of charter school curriculum. I love my district's curriculum. But I think, again, just getting training for teachers is probably the first and most important thing that we need to implement within this next upcoming school year. And again, I'm grateful for being on this show. I do it for the kids. not for the notoriety. I fund these videos and these songs and the production and the engineering and the studio time myself, and I'm just really grateful to have touched so many lives that I've taught, and former students, current students, and even future students. So again, thank you, and whenever you get a chance, Roland, just try to visit 421 North Albany Street if you can.
Well, guess what? I spent a little time in Fort Worth. I know Fort Worth quite well. I was a City Hall reporter at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Okay. And so when you mention Como, I absolutely am familiar with that area, covering many of the folks there. I was there last year. Deborah Peoples was running for mayor. We had a town hall, so we were there for her as well. And so trust me, I know a little bit something about Fort Partyworth. Fort Partyworth. So absolutely appreciate it. Thomas, congratulations. Keep doing what you do. There are a lot of people, man, who are leaving the classroom. We've done the stories, especially a lot of black men, black male teachers who are leaving the classroom. And so it's great to see that you're doing. And hopefully the Fort Worth Independent School District will recognize what you're doing. Last question I do have. You talked about you saw the increased scores. As a result of what you've done, are other people now coming to you for rap tips?
Oh, yeah. I did a jingle campaign last summer when we went virtual as an implementation of, no in-person learning. And I had over 75 teachers from across the nation to solicit jingles to start off their virtual classes. That was great. So it's good to see people are catching on and using it. So again, I appreciate the platform, man. I'm hoping that teachers are looking at this right now and definitely thinking about doing different things out the box to reach his or her students. So again, I appreciate you.
We surely appreciate that. And Michael, see what happened, how alphas do?
Well, 106.
For Sigmas, our signal don't freeze up. Our internet doesn't freeze up. So, it's all good. That doesn't happen to Sigmas. Congratulations.
You want to try to go there?
Congratulations. You're the one that brought up Sigmas and alphas.
Yeah, I'm just
even talking about that, Roland. You brought that up.
Because there are some things that are self-evident.
Oh, okay. All right. I congratulate the brother on what he's doing.
Of course. Remember,
we all do great things, regardless of our organization.
But some of us do greater things. Always remember who's your Greek daddy.
Oh, wow.
Thomas, thanks much. I appreciate it.
Remember, all this starts in Africa.
I appreciate Roland.
Valley region.
Say it again, Michael.
Just remember, all this starts in Africa and the Nile Valley region. That comes from ancient Kemet to the Nile Valley region.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, but you know who ran that yard at Wayne State, 06.
No.
All right, y'all. That's it.
It was Sigmas.
Don't even try, please. You Sigmas don't even run their own households. Kelly, Michael. Kelly, Michael, Matt. See, Matt, I'm just going to leave him alone. Matt, I ain't crazy. I'm just going to leave him alone. Smart man. All right, y'all. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. It's been a fabulous week. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. First of all, YouTube, y'all really tripping, okay? Why am I having to tell y'all to hit the damn like button, okay? It should be automatic that we hit 1,000 likes every single day. Don't y'all understand that has an impact on the algorithm? So right now, we got 893 likes. That don't make no sense. We've been on for 2 hours and 19 minutes, and we got 800. So I'm about to do the last part of the show. Y'all better hit 1,000 before I get done. So hit the like button right now, damn it. All right, folks, download the Black Star Network app. We want to hit 50,000 downloads by May 1st. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV as well. If you want to support us in what we do, please give to the Bring the Funk Fan Club. Every dollar you give goes to support this show for what we do. And so that's critically important, y'all. Please, Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo is RM Unfiltered, Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com, Roland@RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Coming up next, okay, after we finish the show, the 7th part of our Ghana docu-series, 1619 to 2019, the year of return. You don't want to miss that. The previous 6 have been fabulous. Trust me, people are learning so much. I hope y'all absolutely tune in to watch that. We end the show every single Friday by showing all of our Bring the Funk fan club members. We have to do that. Birmingham, I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. I'm coming to town. The USFL launches this weekend. Kevin Sumlin, former head coach of Texas A&M, is coaching the Houston franchise, the Houston Gamblers. I told Coach, I'm going to come there to support you. They're playing all the games in Birmingham in their first year. So I'll be at the game on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. And so y'all look for that. Fisk, I'll be on your campus, my final lecture as a scholar in residence, and we're going to be broadcasting the show live from Fisk on Monday. So looking forward to that as well. And we're going to have our panel on the scene. Reverend Jeff Carr and others will be right there joining me at Fisk, on Fisk campus for Monday's show. So a lot of things going on, and so we appreciate all that y'all do. Folks, that's it. I will see y'all tomorrow. Celebrate Jackie Robinson Day. But remember, all of Jackie Roosevelt Robinson, not just the baseball part. Get his book, I Never Had It Made. It's a phenomenal read. Trust me, you'll learn a lot more. And yeah, he was right with Colin Kaepernick when it came to that flag and the Pledge of Allegiance. He was real clear. Read the book, then you'll know. I'm gonna see y'all guys on Monday. How?
Martin!